In one of the oldest rainforests on Earth, the sound that matters most is the one that stops. The instant the insects fall silent all at once. That silence means a hunter has moved. A drone climbs through a 60-metre crown until the floor vanishes and only sky remains. A rhinoceros hornbill crosses the gap, wingbeats loud enough to be heard long before the bird appears. A colugo clings to a vast trunk, then opens its skin and glides between the crowns. Higher still, an eagle rides the warm air along the canopy edge. This forest is built in layers, and each layer hides a hunter that cannot leave it. The question waits in the height itself. When the giants finally fall, what happens to that order? Danum Valley holds some of the oldest lowland rainforest left standing in Sabah, a stretch of northern Borneo that industrial logging never reached. Here the tallest trees are dipterocarps, and the largest of them push past 60 meters, among the tallest tropical hardwoods on Earth. Their crowns break free of everything beneath and spread into open sky. This is the emergent layer, the ceiling of the forest. From the top of a single crown, the floor is not visible at all. There is only green and glare and a long fall. Height is the first law of this place. It decides who may hunt here and who may not. Up in the exposed crowns, the air is hotter and drier than anything below. The wind moves without obstruction, and the branches thin to nothing at their tips. The animals that own this layer share one trait, and only one. They can cross open air. Everything else in the forest is locked out below them. Against a vast grey trunk, a shape that looked like bark begins to move. A Sunda colugo unclamps its claws and turns its head toward the gap between crowns. Folds of skin run from its neck to its fingertips to the tip of its tail, and when it spreads them, the animal becomes a single, taut sail. It launches into nothing. The glide carries it out across the open lane, more than 100 meters in one pass, shedding only a little height for all that distance. Clamped to the fur of its belly, riding the entire crossing, is a single young colugo. The mother does not slow for the passenger. She cannot. The gap must be taken in one motion, and stopping is not among the choices the air offers. The colugo's crossing is not unwatched. The changeable hawk eagle is the crown's resident hunter, a bird shaped to work exactly this open lane between trees. It soars above the canopy with its crest raised, and it hunts from a hidden perch near the crown's edge, watching the gaps the gliders are forced to use. When it commits, it drops from that perch onto the crossing, turning the forest's own height into a weapon and closing distance faster than any animal can climb away from it. The two rarely resolve into a single clean line. The eagle hunts the gap. The glider crosses the gap. Most often the glider is simply gone, banked away and clamped to the next trunk before a strike can arrive. Speed set against surface. The eagle owns the approach, the colugo owns the escape, and the young one clamped beneath survives because its mother never treated the open air as anything but a thing to be finished quickly. This is the whole economy of the ceiling. Nothing here hunts on foot. Nothing here is safe that cannot leave a branch in an instant. Then a different sound crosses the crown. Not a call, but a beating. A heavy, rhythmic whoosh that seems to shoulder the air aside. A rhinoceros hornbill passes overhead, its wingbeats carrying long before the bird itself comes into view. That sound is a measurement. Hornbills of this kind need large tracts of unbroken old growth and the giant hollow trees that only centuries can produce. Where they still fly, the forest above the canopy is whole. The whoosh reframes the entire crown. This is not a ruin and not an edge. This is a ceiling, still governed completely from the air, as it has been for longer than most of these trees have stood. The eagle takes the last word of the layer. It returns to an emergent perch near the top of a crown, prey gripped in one foot, and settles into the stillness that follows a kill. From there, the whole sealed world lies open to it and closed to everything underneath. The hunter of the ceiling does not descend to feed. It carries the catch up to the sky, because in this layer, the sky is the only ground that counts. Far out along the same crown, a strangler fig has come into fruit, and the tree begins to release its crop. A single fig loosens and falls. The frame follows it down, past the emergent branches, out of the sealed world of wings and membranes, into the dense green of the canopy below, where a falling fruit is not waste, but a summons. Something is already waiting there for the traffic the fruit is about to gather. The fig that loosened from the emergent crown falls into a world the ceiling never sees. Below the sealed top layer, the canopy closes over itself, branch laced into branch, until the light breaks into pieces. And near the middle of that green weave, a single tree has drawn a crowd. A strangler fig has come into fruit. It began as a seed dropped in the fork of another tree, sent roots down the trunk of its host, and over decades wrapped and squeezed until the host died inside its cage and the fig stood in its place. Now it fruits, and its crop falls on a schedule the whole canopy has learned to read. A troop of long-tailed macaques has claimed the crown. They move through it without caution, hands quick among the clustered figs, young clinging to the bellies of the females, the whole group loud and busy and entirely at ease. They have every reason to be. The fruit is theirs for the taking, more than the troop can finish, and the branches carry their weight without complaint. This is the richest table in the canopy, and the macaques feed at it the way animals feed when nothing is wrong. Something is wrong. Woven into the fig's own buttress, where root folds into root and shadow pools between them, a line that seemed to be part of the tree is not part of the tree. It is thicker than the roots around it, and it holds a curve no wood holds. The pattern along its back is the pattern of the bark, the dapple, the broken light, and it has been lying in that fold, motionless, since before the troop arrived. This is the reticulated python, the longest snake on Earth, a body built on a single idea: vanish in broken forest light and let the place come to it. It does not pursue. It has no venom and no speed to spare, and no need to leave the fold it has chosen. Its reticulated pattern breaks its outline in dappled shade. The fig gathers prey. The python only has to wait where the feeding roots tighten. Everything the macaques find irresistible about the crown, the fruit and the safety of numbers and the ease of feeding, is the same thing that stocks the ambush with targets. The hunter does not work the canopy, it works one tree, and it lets the tree do the hunting. It waits on mistakes that happen again and again around fruiting trees. The strike can come out of shadow, coils can close before the prey understands the shape against the root, and the aftermath can leave the snake heavy and still for days. These are repeated behaviors, not one uninterrupted encounter. The snake takes hold and constricts with brutal efficiency, tightening to stop breathing far faster than the prey can recover. A tree like this does not need to shudder for the danger to be real. The point is not one victim in one moment, but a rule of the canopy. Fruit gathers bodies, and a motionless hunter needs only one body to drift too near. And the fig has drawn more than macaques. Farther along the same crown, moving with a slowness that is its own assurance, a Bornean orangutan hangs full length from a branch and reaches into the fruit. The python is not being staged against this orangutan. The orange shape is here because figs feed more than one species. A python may take a young orangutan, but an adult this size is more than it will attempt. When a single fig comes into fruit, it feeds the macaques, the hornbills that pass through, the orangutan that climbs to it, every fruit eater within reach of the crown. A fruiting fig is a magnet, and a magnet for prey is a magnet for whatever hunts prey. This is why the ambush works at all. Then the troop finds out. One macaque sees the coils, or smells them, or simply understands, and the alarm goes up, a call the whole crown answers at once. In a heartbeat, the calm table becomes chaos. Branches erupt, bodies fling themselves across the gaps, the young clamp tight, and the adults scatter screaming into the surrounding trees, and for one strange moment, the ambusher is the most exposed animal in the canopy, its shape suddenly plain, called out by 50 voices. But there is nothing to punish. The snake cannot be chased down a branch. It does not flee, and it does not defend. It holds what it has caught and waits for the noise to move away, which it always does. When the crown is quiet again, the swallowing method is slow and exact. The skull does not unhinge in the cartoon sense. The jaws are held by flexible joints that work over the prey in measured pulses until the meal disappears. A python that has fed well may not feed again for weeks. Then comes the long stillness, swollen and motionless, in a shaded fold like the one where the ambush began. The hunter becomes once more a thickening in the shadow that the next troop to arrive will also fail to see. The light in the crown begins to fail. The macaques have gone to their roosts, the orangutan has bent branches into a nest for the night, and the fig dims from green to grey to black. But the tree does not empty when the day hunters sleep. Low on the same trunk that carried the python's crown, in the full dark now, a smaller pair of eyes comes open. Between the canopy and the forest floor runs a layer with no name of its own. It is only bark and vine and vertical trunk, the surface that every other layer's traffic climbs and descends. By day, it belongs to no one in particular. After dark, it runs its own shift, and the animals that work it are ones the sun never sees. The day hunters have clocked out. A separate workforce, smaller and stranger, has taken the same trunks. Two eyes open against a trunk. They are enormous, round, and fixed forward, and they gather the little light there is and throw it back as a pale shine. The head turns to sweep the dark. Not the eyes, which are locked in their sockets and cannot move, but the whole skull, rotating almost halfway around. Then the body resolves around the stare, a creature that would sit inside a closed hand, gripping the bare bark with long fingers, and a tail longer than the rest of it combined. This is the western tarsier, and it is a hunter without compromise. It is the only primate on Earth that eats no plant matter at all, no fruit or leaf or shoot, only living prey it catches itself. Those eyes are the reason. Each one is larger than the animal's own brain, fixed so far forward that the tarsier must turn its head to look aside. In near total darkness they are enough. The animal does not search the trunk so much as wait on it, still as the bark, listening for the small movements of the things it eats. Then it moves. A moth crosses the dark, and the tarsier releases the trunk in a single explosion of hind legs, launching clear off the vertical bark, taking the insect out of the air, and landing already clamped to another trunk a body's length away. The whole action takes less than a heartbeat. The legs are the engine, long and folded and loaded like a spring, and the grip is absolute at both ends, so that a miss costs nothing, and a hit costs only the moth. Up and down the trunks, the same thing happens over and over in the dark. A hunter working a surface no larger animal can use, on a shift no larger animal keeps. Higher on the same trunk, another shape lets go. A colugo opens its skin and glides off into the black, crossing at the hour it is built for, because the vertical highway belongs to night as much as bark belongs to trunks. It does not reopen after sunset. For the colugo, it has been waiting for darkness all along. Then the insects stop. All at once, the small sounds of the layer cut out, and a shadow slides across the canopy overhead, followed by a single call that does not belong to anything the tarsier can outrun. The tarsier freezes against the bark. Everything that made it a hunter a moment ago, the shine of those eyes, the readiness in the legs, now works against it, because a thing that can be seen can be taken. It does not leap, it does not turn its head. It holds, a small carnivore made suddenly into prey, while whatever crossed above decides the night on its own terms. The shadow passes. The call moves off and does not return, and the small sounds of the layer creep back one by one. Only then does the tarsier move again. It takes another insect off the bark, folds itself close against the trunk, and feeds. A body smaller than the hand that could hold it, keeping its place on the vertical world by being too quick to catch and too still to find. Both halves of survival sit in the same frame, the hunter and the hunted, in one animal. When it is finished, the tarsier starts down. It drops trunk to trunk, lower with each landing, and the camera follows it down the bark toward the forest floor. The ground it reaches is dark and poor. But the descent through the layers is not finished, because in Borneo's low peat basins, the forest floor itself gives way to water. In the lowest reaches of Borneo, the ground itself gives out. In the low peat basins, the land lies flat and the water cannot drain, and the trees come to stand rooted in it. This is not a river yet. It is a floor that has drowned, a flooded forest where the roots go down into black. The dry layers of the descent have ended. From here down, there is only water and what lives in it. Sabangau is a peat swamp forest, and its water is like no other in Borneo. Centuries of fallen leaves and wood have gathered here faster than they can rot, building a deep, waterlogged bed of peat, and the water that seeps through it comes out stained the color of strong tea, so dark that the surface holds the sky like black glass and shows nothing beneath. This is blackwater. It is acidic, starved of oxygen, and almost impossible to see into, and the hunters that work it have either given up sight for other senses or learned to use the darkness itself as cover. On the surface, a long shape lies without moving. It could be one more fallen branch among the many the swamp collects. It has the length of one, and the stillness. But it holds too straight, and it holds too long. And where a branch would taper into twigs, this one narrows into something else. A snout, thin and pointed and lined with teeth, resting along the top of the water. The false gharial is a crocodilian built around that snout. Where a saltwater crocodile carries a broad, heavy jaw for holding large prey, the false gharial's is long and slender, a shape made for one task: closing on a fish faster than the water can warn it. A narrow jaw meets less resistance as it sweeps through water, and so it can be swung sideways with a speed a broad snout could never reach. The animal basks at the surface, warming, patient, doing nothing the fish below have learned to fear. Nothing about it reads as a threat until the instant it becomes one. The strike is sideways and almost too fast to follow. A fish drifts within reach of the snout, and the whole head sweeps through the water in a snap that folds the jaws shut before the prey can turn. There is no chase and no struggle. The narrow jaw was built for exactly this distance and exactly this speed, and at the end of the motion, the fish is simply held, crosswise between the teeth, and the swamp closes over the moment as if nothing had crossed it. The Blackwater channel belongs to the gharial in a way no layer above belonged so wholly to one hunter. Up in the crowns, the eagle shared the air with the gliders it hunted. In the fig, the python shared the tree with the troop it waited on. Here, the medium itself is the weapon. A macaque leans out from a root to drink and cannot see a hand's depth into the surface. The gharial is no danger to it. That narrow jaw is set for fish, not monkeys. But the Blackwater offers the monkey no reading either way, and it drinks the way everything drinks here, quickly and half-blind, trusting the murk as much as fearing it. Here, for the first time in the descent, height means nothing. In the crowns, altitude decided everything. Who could reach the ceiling? Who could cross the gap? At the waterline, the rule has changed. What decides the hunt now is not how high an animal can climb, but how low the land will let it fall. And everything the forest holds is being handed, slowly, to the bottom. Then the gharial slides under. It draws itself off the surface without a splash and glides beneath the black, the long body moving on small motions of the tail, and the channel seals over it as though it were never there. It does not need the bank or the branch. It owns the one thing the whole descent has been falling toward: the water that every layer above must eventually send its animals down to meet. And the descent has reached the place where the forest's fate stops being only the forest's. In Borneo's peatlands, drained or damaged forest can change the water itself. Disturbed peatland sends sediment and altered runoff into channels that were shaped by shade, tannin, and slow decay. Somewhere above, a felled trunk comes down, and its fall is not the clean drop of a fig into the canopy, but the tearing of a system. Where canopy opens, light reaches water that spent centuries in shadow. The blackwater world does not need to become a muddy river for the change to matter. Even a shift in clarity and chemistry changes the rules for animals that hunt by patience in dark water. This is not the same channel that will carry the next chapter. Sabangau and Kinabatangan belong to different parts of Borneo, different basins, different exits to the sea. The descent now shifts across matching layers rather than one literal watershed. From peat black water in the south to a great eastern river where another bottom-dwelling hunter waits. Far to the northeast, another Bornean lowland system reaches its own bottom edge. The Kinabatangan gathers eastern Sabah's forests and floodplains, widens through mangrove roots, and meets the tidal pull of the Sulu Sea. Fresh water and salt water occupy the same moving boundary, a river mouth where the forest does not fall any farther. The Kinabatangan is where Borneo's eastern forests drain. It is not Sabangau's outlet, and it is not Danum's hidden continuation. It is a second, real bottom edge that lets the film test the same vertical law in a different basin. Crowns, trunks, banks and floodplain all meet a mangrove-rimmed waterline here. There is no layer beneath it. Whatever reaches this edge must deal with the hunter that waits in water. On the surface, 2 eyes and 2 nostrils sit in a line and nothing else. No body, no wake, only 4 points holding perfectly still on the brown water, while everything beneath them stays hidden. They belong to the hunter that owns the bottom of the descent. The saltwater crocodile is the largest living reptile, and it belongs to one of the most ancient lineages of hunters still alive. It does not climb, glide, or leap, and it does not cross open air. It does not need to. It has waited at the bottom of systems like this one for a very long stretch of evolutionary time, and it hunts by the single principle the whole descent has been building toward. Sooner or later, everything comes down to the water. It hunts by arithmetic more than by effort. A troop works down the mangrove roots to the current's edge, the adults drinking in quick turns while the young are held back from the softest ground. The crocodile does not chase. It reads where the bank gives easily and the approach is open, and it holds there for the error a large enough troop will make in time. A lunge can erupt out of still water without warning, a surge of muscle and armor driven by a tail longer than the animal is wide, and close on nothing at all. A half second too late as the troop breaks screaming back up the roots. The lane empties and fills again. The hunter loses nothing but one attempt, and it has as many attempts as the river has days. Then the season turns and the odds tighten. The northeast monsoon swells the Kinabatangan until water spreads through the floodplain and forest edges become channels. Animals that normally move on banks and roots now face water in more places, and the crocodile's hunting surface expands with the flood. The river does not need to explain their reasons for crossing, it only changes the map beneath them. Brown water, mangrove roots, soft banks and narrow approaches create lanes where a hidden body can wait. The collapse tracked through the film is no longer a single current. It is a repeated consequence of lowland forest opened and narrowed. More edges, fewer safe approaches, and more chances for water hunters. For the crocodile, opaque water and broken banks are enough. It floats motionless where little can mark it. It can drive the whole length of its body forward in one explosive surge, take hold and roll, using the river itself to finish what the jaws begin. An attempt can fail many times and still cost the hunter almost nothing. The descent closes at the waterline, where an ancient hunter waits for animals that the forest edge brings within reach. This is the answer the height held all along. The vertical order does not vanish when the giants come down. It repeats at every low edge. Each broken layer pushes more life toward banks, channels and floodplain margins, and the hunters that never left the water are ready there. Height kept every killer sealed in its own world until the world opened and more of it had to meet the bottom. Rain begins to dimple the brown water and the surface goes quiet over a half-sunk shape that may or may not be a log. Far back at the forest edge, in the last giant left standing along the bank, a single orangutan sits motionless in the canopy, one of the fig-eaters of the high crowns, now marooned in a layer that once ran in trees all the way down to this water, and stands nearly alone above it. The tide turns on the estuary and begins its slow push back inland, brown water sliding over roots that stand in salt and fresh alike. Far above the waterline, where the old crowns still close over one another, the air between two giants stays open, and a colugo lets go of its trunk and crosses it in a single glide, young clamped beneath. The height still holds where the height still stands. Where it does not, the water keeps its own hours and takes, without hurry, whatever the falling forest sends down to it.